Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. I am Dave Biddle flying solo on today's show. It's not going to be a super long show because I'm headed out of town today meeting some friends. So going down to the Cincinnati Reds game this afternoon. So not going to be a super long show. It's also why I'm starting a little early. But we're going to get into it, man. We met with the Buckeyes secondary yesterday, including coaches Tim Walton and Matt Guerrieri. I don't need to tell you guys what an impressive group. Can they be better than last year? I mean, Lathan Ransom and Jordan Hancock had great years. Denzel Burke probably didn't have the year we wanted, but was still a solid player, and those guys were veterans. So that's saying a lot, but I'm really impressed with this group. We're going to get into it. And regardless if they're better or not than last year, they're going to be the best secondary in college football, and that's what really matters. And we'll get into it. I'm going to break down. We're going to get into all of it, including the huge roles that – I mean, Lathan Ransom was so damn good last year. He was so good. He was basically – he was so good. I mean, him and Caleb Downs together – it was almost like cheat code. So, and Jordan Hancock was great too. So that's a lot, but these guys are impressive as heck. Impressive as heck. Before we get to that, let you guys know about our newest sponsor, Timeline. Timeline's Mida Pure supplements are the best supplements for healthy aging. I've been using them for just over 3 weeks now, and I can already tell a difference. Can't you guys tell? Not yet? Okay. I feel way younger though. So why is taking Timeline's Mida Pure supplements important to me? I feel stronger during my workouts. I recover quicker after working out. I have more energy, period. And I want to support my cellular health. Speaking of which, cellular health is the foundation of well-being and longevity. These Mida Pure tablets from Timeline recharge your cells and support any goals you have by making your systems work better. I'm going to take one right now, actually. I take twice a day. I'm going to take one right now. My morning Mida Pure tablet from Timeline. And here's the deal we can get you. Timeline is offering 10% off your order of Mida Pure. Go to timeline.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. That's TIMELINE.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. All right. Welcome them, our newest sponsor, Timeline. All right. Let's get into it. All right. Are they going to be better than last year in the secondary? I don't know. That's a really high bar, but man, these guys are impressive. They're impressive. We can say this about a lot of the guys on the team, maybe all of them. They're impressive young men and they're impressive athletes. I always say Ohio State finds a way to recruit five-star players. You know, there's a decent amount of schools that do a good job of that. Not a lot. There's a few around the country, but I don't know if anybody does it better than Ohio State of getting five-star players and five-star young men. We got a chance to meet with guys like Devin Sanchez yesterday, Fahim Delane, some of these young guys we really haven't talked to yet. And the coaches at back there, Tim Walton and Matt Guerrieri, they could not be in better hands. And we're going to finish the show talking about this, but I'll mention it. These guys, to a man, the players gush about Matt Patricia. They gush about him. They liked Jim Knowles. This is not a slam on Jim Knowles. They speak a different way about Matt Patricia. So we'll get to that. All right. So could BIA be better? They could be because they have the best defensive player in college football in Caleb Downs. All right, Jermaine Matthews was basically a starter. He's back. IGB was a starter. He's back, and I think he's going to have a really good year. I thought he was solid his first year. Last year, I know this is like, other than that, I know. But seriously, if they can get him, I think they will. If they can coach him to be less handsy, and he was, starting to break out of it a little bit towards the end of last year. This guy is usually in great position. He's fast, physical. He's a tall corner at 6'2". So is Devin Sanchez, by the way. So you basically have three starters back, basically, if you consider Jermaine Matthews a starter. Having Downs back and having IGB back is huge. Who's going to fill in the starting roles? Well, I think Lorenzo Styles Jr., now as a fifth-year senior, is going to be the Jordan Hancock. Now, those are big shoes to fill. Huge shoes to fill. And look what Hancock did at Pro Day, 4.42. He jumped out of the gym. That was a 41.5-inch vert. Helped himself a lot. So these people have Jordan Hancock as like a fifth-round pick. Hey, time to update your mock drafts. He's not going to be a fifth-round pick. He's going to go before then. And Lathan Ransom was fantastic. So who's going to replace Jordan Hancock? It's going to be Lorenzo Styles Jr. And they have depth there because another guy we got to meet with yesterday who's impressive, Bryce West. Finally, they got a kid from Glenville. It's a little joke. Nice. I'm glad the pipeline's being revitalized, with getting Arvell Reese and getting Bryce West. So we're getting that Glenville pipeline revitalized, which was really, the backbone of the Tressel era to some extent. I like Bryce West a lot. He's going to play. He's not going to be a typical backup. We're going to say that about some other guys here in a moment. So I really like Bryce West. Put together well. He's at that kind of that ideal, nickel corner. He's physical. He's built on. He almost looks like he's like built almost like a smaller linebacker, but he's fast. So he's like 5'11", 196. One of those kids, if he was like a high school middle linebacker, be out there just destroying everybody at that height and weight. Or some of those like 5'7", like 180-pound middle linebackers in high school that are also like wrestlers. Those guys are like tackling machines usually. I love it. Or the super short like nose guard, like 5'8", 250. He just wrecks the line of scrimmage in high school. Love those guys. So Bryce West, he's well put together, but he's fast. So I like him, and he's a backup. This is what I'm saying. I love the depth here. I love the coaching. High bar for best in America to be even better. But, hey, they're best in America. All right. Okay, now the big thing. Okay, who's gonna replace Lathan? Because Lathan was fantastic. And I like the guys that are competing to replace him. But Lathan wasn't Lathan until his fifth-year senior year. We always knew Lathan was really good, right? We always knew that. But then he turned into he was just fantastic this past year. So those are big shoes to fill. And right now you have Malik Hartford, a junior, and you have sophomore Jalen McClain battling for that job. And another guy, I got to talk to Jalen McClain for the first time. They brought him out last year, but they bring out like three guys at the same time. Pat, Steve, and I are out to scrambling. We don't get to talk to everybody. So this is my first time getting a chance to talk with Jalen, another very impressive young man. He was even asked, it seems like you were pretty underrated in the recruiting rankings. And I'm sure he agrees with that, but he very maturely said, I think I was ranked about where I was supposed to be. Yeah, right. Nobody expected him to come in and play, be on the two deep as a true freshman, but he was. But right now, Malik's running with the ones, and I think they're kind of splitting time, and Jalen's running with the twos. And really both of them are running with the ones because Caleb really isn't playing. He's got like a minor nagging injury. Plus, they said at the beginning of the camp, like, why you don't need to play Caleb Downs a lot during spring. So really those guys are really running with the ones, both of them. When camp starts, obviously Caleb Downs is going to be a starter, breaking news. So one of those guys will be running with the ones, and that was early in camp. That was Malik with Jalen coming in. So it's good that those guys are going to push each other. I think whoever wins that job is going to be good. Are they going to be as good as Lathan this year? No. Could they be eventually? Yes. But we can't expect them to be as good as Lathan Ransom was when Lathan was a fifth-year senior, okay? Jalen's going to be a sophomore. Now, Malik's entering his third year, but even Lathan's third year, he wasn't Lathan as a fifth-year senior. So high bar, but I think they're in good hands there with Malik Hartford and Jalen McClain. Speaking of good hands, a true freshman that's going to play, and Devin Sanchez is, and I'm going to talk about him in a minute. Fahim Delane is going to play. I'll be surprised if he's not on the two deep. He's running with the twos right now with Leroy Roker. But again, that's because McClain and Hartford are running with the ones right now. So they're going to need to round out that two deep so whoever loses a starting job to replace Lathan, either Malik or Jalen, will be the top backup. And then who's going to be the other guy on the two deep? Probably true freshman Fahim Delane. He looks good. And very highly rated. So no surprise, but another mature young man that you would never know in a million years if you didn't already know should still be in high school. Just carries himself, not just the way they look physically. That's a dead giveaway. But just even if you didn't know that they were just like buff, like you'd be like this kid's way too mature to be a high school senior. No, they're not. So really like Fahim Delane. All right, and then Devin Sanchez. I hate to put too much on a true freshman, but we're not saying he's got to come in here and start because they've got IGB and they've got Jermaine Matthews. But man, Devin Sanchez is going to play a lot. The way the coaches talk about him, he's another kid that carries himself like he's a fifth-year senior, not a true freshman. There's no way he's going to be here 5 years. He'll be here 3 years. I keep saying it. It bears repeating. He looks like an NFL corner right now, and he should be getting ready for his high school prom. He's going to play a lot. Maybe because they've proven whoever is that number 3 outside corner is still going to play a lot. Look at Jermaine Matthews last year. He played just as much as Denzel did during the playoff, just as much as IGB. They basically had a 3-man rotation for those 2 outside corner spots. And that was because those guys all deserve to play. That doesn't mean they're just going to do it just to do it. But they've got the horses again with Devin Sanchez. And I haven't even mentioned Aaron Scott yet until now. Aaron Scott's another guy entering his second year, played as a true freshman a little bit last year, played a lot on special teams. He's going to play a decent amount this year. And he's another guy that's a backup. So I love what they've done constructing this secondary. These are the other guys I haven't mentioned yet. Miles Lockhart. There's a few others. Like, they have done a good job. I'd like a little bit more depth at safety, but Fahim Delane has quelled a lot of those concerns for me because he looks really good. Again, you don't like to say, okay, we're expecting 2 true freshmen to play a lot in the secondary. That's usually not good. But when it's Devin Sanchez and Fahim Delane, I think we're going to be okay, more than okay with that. Those guys are ready to roll. And I can't say it enough, that getting that experience of not only enrolling early, that's nothing new. That's been going on for 20 years now, but longer than that. Maurice Claret was really the first one that I can remember. That was 2002. That's been going on for 23 years now. What has not been going on? Guys enroll early, then get to go on a national championship run to 3 different stops. If they enrolled early enough, they got to go to the Rose Bowl. Everybody that enrolled early went to the Cotton Bowl and the national championship game. I mean, what an amazing experience for these kids. Being around the national championship team, being on the team. It wasn't like they took like a separate, they were in a different hotel or something. They traveled separately. They traveled with the team. They stayed with the team. They practiced with the team during a national championship run. And now they get to try and help the Buckeyes repeat. It's so damn cool. And, guys they're coming in ready to roll. They're not coming in with cocky. They know they have to earn it. But couldn't be more impressed with these guys. All right. As I said, it's not going to be a super long show, but we still have more to get into, including what these guys are saying about Matt Patricia. It was really cool hearing them talk about Matt Patricia, but I'm going to tell you guys about my friends over at Mando. Yeah, and I like this cream tube deodorant. They have the stick deodorant. We're going to get into that, but I like the cream tube. That's my favorite. I like the Pro Sport scent. I also like the bourbon leather, but I think I don't think Pro Sport's my favorite. Pro Sport scent, it gets the job done, my friends. And I've been telling you guys about Mando. We can get you guys a great deal. And, Mando is America's #1 whole body deodorant for men, and I highly recommend it. If you've been using the same deodorant for many years, like I was, it's time to try something new and better. That's where Mando comes into play. Do you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant right now? You can find the products at Walmart, Target, Meijer, and other retailers across the country. For the best deals, go to shopmando.com. I was telling you guys, I was even in a Meijer like a week or two ago, and I saw they have Mando now, but they didn't have much left. They were like flying off the shelves. Like the Mando area was a little bare because people were just buying the Mando. So good job. If you want it, you don't want to go to a store, go to shopmando.com. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant. It comes with a cream tube deodorant. That's what this is. 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash, and free shipping. As a special offer for our Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code Bucknuts at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. I mean, it might get close to 80 degrees down there in Cincinnati today. So I don't have my Mando. I could be down there for 72 hours and be fine because it's 72-hour odor control, but I'm not going to be down there 72 hours, allegedly. They are hitting the road. They're going on a road trip after today's game, so it'd be kind of dumb for me to stay down there. All right. Matt Patricia. If there was anybody who, and I know there was plenty. I'm just talking about Buckeye fans. I'm not talking about trolls. Buckeye fans. I know there were plenty that were like, I don't know. And then I think most of you are like, oh, okay. People in the chat, I know from past shows. I think the vast majority of you guys like Patricia and quickly liked him. I bet all of you like him now when you're hearing what these players are saying. Have you guys seen what these players are saying about him? I asked a few yesterday, other reporters asking. They gush about Matt Patricia. Then the easy follow-up question is, why? What's different? And different guys, Aaron Scott was talking about, it's more simplified, but it's still very intelligent. Like he said that it's simpler than what Knowles did, but it's not like simple, if that makes any sense. It's just it's definitely not dumbed it down. It's just not quite as, I don't want to say it's not detailed, because Patricia's very detailed. The players, so I don't want to like misconstrue this at all. He's not going in here with a vanilla scheme by any means, but it's just different than what Knowles did. It's simpler. But they're also going to move guys around and play to the strengths. And every coach says that. Knowles said that. But, really, Knowles had his scheme. And he would mix things up. I mean, let's be clear about that. Look what they did with Caleb Downs last year. He was basically just a regular safety there for a while. Then they turned him into like this rover back that was just causing nightmares all over the field. He was like a hybrid Mike linebacker at times, and he'd drop, play safety, and then, Jordan Hancock would move back to safety, and Downs would come in. They were definitely moving some parts around, and I give Matt Guerreri and Tim Walton a lot of credit for that too. In addition to Knowles, I've said it before. Knowles, whatever you want to say about Jim Knowles, he accomplished what he was brought here to do. He won a freaking national championship, helped them win a national championship, number one defense in the country, number one total defense, number one scoring defense. Yeah, it helped he had all these great players. Yeah, you get like Caleb Downs in the transfer portal. It kind of makes you a smarter coach, doesn't it? But seriously, they were another thing that impressed me during the playoff run, especially Ohio State was hitting hard as heck throughout the playoffs. They were just literally cracking skulls, right, Nico? I mean, they were cracking skulls, no targeting penalties. They were knocking running backs out of the game in the first drive, no penalties though. So they found the sweet spot of just being a hard-hitting team, really hard, putting the fear of God in their opponents, but no targeting penalties, nobody getting kicked out, no 15-yard penalties. Nothing like that. I'm not even talking about Austin Saraville, that BS call where he got called for that Texas game, or it was a legal play. Whistle hadn't blown yet. He took out like two Texas guys. They called him for 15 yards on that. I'm talking about the defense, and that was a BS call. I'm talking about the defense. They played great overall, but the fact that they were that hard-hitting of a defense, that physical, and never had a targeting penalty, very impressive. And they were beating guys up. I thought that Notre Dame quarterback was not going to be able to play in the second half. I give him a lot of credit. Riley Leonard, I mean, I don't think he's going to be like an NFL quarterback. That kid's tough as nails. He was dead after that first drive because they ran him 9 times that first drive. 9 times. They scored that touchdown. I turned to Pat Murphy. I'm like, this is not sustainable against this defense. You can't run your quarterback 9 times in the first drive alone. And 30 seconds later, the press box announcer saying, Riley Leonard is throwing up on the sidelines. Like, see? First drive, you run him 9 times. Somehow that kid was tough enough to not be taken to the hospital at halftime. Remember Ken Dorsey? I'll go back. Some of you probably have no idea. Ken Dorsey, the 2002 national championship game, Ohio State versus Miami. Ken Dorsey spent the night in the hospital because the Silver Bullets roughed him up. Matt Wilhelm and the boys, and Mike Doss and Will Smith, senior, late, great Will Smith. Those guys destroyed him all night. All right. Something about the Buckeyes destroying quarterbacks in national championship games, huh? I mean, even Marcus Mariota was not in a good way after that 2014 national championship game. He was limping pretty bad and a little sore after the game, a lot sore. So these players gush about Matt Patricia. I love that. It'd be easy for me to sit here and be like, hey, guys, Matt Patricia's a great hire. Look at his Super Bowl rings. Like this, you guys should love this. Forget about that. The players gushing about him says a lot to me. And I like hearing what the coaches say, too. Now, coaches, are not going to sit there. Even if, let's say Tim Walton and Matt Patricia, they put arms around each other. They seem like they get along. It's funny that they have a history together. I don't think anybody knew that until Patricia was hired, that they actually coached a year together when Patricia was a grad assistant at Syracuse. And this is, 2003, so like 22 years ago. Crazy that they actually have a previous relationship, Tim Walton and Matt Patricia. They also have that brotherhood of being like former NFL coaches for a long time. Walton wasn't in the NFL quite as long as Patricia, but Walton was a DC. He was a defensive coordinator in the NFL. Patricia was a D coordinator in the NFL. So you got that camaraderie already. Those guys get along. My point is, let's say Walton didn't like him. He's not going to come out to the press conference and say that, right? But you can tell the way he talks about Patricia that he really likes him. Same thing with Guerreri. And there was a lot of talk. Those guys could have been promoted. They were promoted to co-defensive coordinator, but there was a talk. Those guys could be just the defensive coordinators, co-defensive coordinators. And those guys would be running the defense. They don't seem put out at all that Patricia was hired in to be the defensive coordinator, and they are co-defensive coordinators. And, man, Walton is – I love Tim Walton. It's so easy to see why he's such a great recruiter and a great coach. It really is just easy. And then Matt Guerreri, he's a future head coach. I have no doubt about that. There's just certain young coaches where you're like, okay, that's a future head coach, no doubt about it. I don't know where. I don't know when. And I'm not saying he's going to be a great head coach at Ohio State. I just know he's going to be a head coach in college football. You can just tell. He will be a head coach in college football. Hopefully he'll be on Ryan Day's staff for a while. But, man, I mean, Patricia, if you're like a CJ Hicks, you got to be feeling really good about Patricia. James Laurinaitis was talking him up. And Patricia, I like what Patricia said about the linebackers. He's like, he saw Arvell Reese. He saw Sonny Styles. He loves big linebackers that can run. He's like, I'm home. Peyton Pierce. Got some big linebackers. Now, Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese are the biggest of the big. Shouldn't put Peyton Pierce. Peyton Pierce is, I mean, he is jacked up, 235 pounds. But Sonny and Arvell are 6'4", at least 240. Every time I see them, they get stronger. So, love it. All right, my friends, I'm going to close up shop here. Dan Rubin and the boys will be with you tomorrow. And, and we're going to be back at it. We have a Student Appreciation Day this Saturday. So all the practice is open. They'll have a scrimmage. That'll be really cool. So that'll be about 11 a.m. on Saturday, Student Appreciation Day at the WAC. We'll, all the students are able to come in there if they want to, and it'll be packed in there. A bunch of former players will be there, recruits, parents. It's awesome. It'll be packed. So if you're there, say hi. There'll be about 1,000 of our good friends packed in there. Hopefully it's a nice day and they can go outside. Hopefully nobody decleats Brutus like Boom Perkins did the first year they did it when they were outside. So what was that? That would have been the spring of 2013, I believe. So, so Saturday, that'll be a big day, but we'll have plenty of coverage the rest of this week as well. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope everyone has a great day. Go Bucks.